It would help if I plug in the mic. Having a great start to this stream. So, as I was saying, the music is Harris Heller. It's this music here, copyright free, so that's why we have this on in the background. Seems loud. All right, so I'll just put this chat here. I don't know. I don't have a plan, but there's a lot of comments on the last video. So I thought I might do some of those today. So most of the comments here are no audio. Got that sorted. So honestly, I can't tell if, like, how quiet that music is. I don't know. I did plan on having music all the way through, yeah. All right, so there's still lots of people coming in still, so wait a couple minutes before we really get into this. Happy Thanksgiving if you're in the US. Happy month after Thanksgiving if you're in Canada. I gotta say, I'm super tempted to buy another turkey and do it again. Yeah, we already did our Thanksgiving and it was great. And we want to do it again because I've been seeing all these recipe videos being posted and yeah, just made me hungry. All right, so what are you guys saying about the background music? It's like it's in the other room. It's like whoever was vacuuming the last video has a boombox on now. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. Let me know if you have any questions. Any video production editing on the schedule today? No, what I need to do is actually get my Black Friday sale going and get a list of like plugins and stuff. I could just tell you guys what to get, but it's better for me if I have affiliate links set up and just a website you guys can click through on stuff. So not going to recommend anything right yet. All right, and still managing my windows. I set up a second camera. You guys see that? Over here. What do you think it? Oh, it. As soon as I looked away from the screen, it lost connection. Yeah, I think that is kind of cool. I don't know. All right, so let me listen to the live replay, and I can figure out the music volume. Yeah, to the live replay, and I figure out kind of sounds like it's just through the what do you call it? Through the speakers. So maybe you guys aren't getting the full thing. I don't know. Okay, so what are you guys saying? It says, looks good. The blue light from the table is pretty bright, like a high beam, though. Yeah, that's... I need to get these lights like mounted on the wall or something. Because like, you can see in the center of these diffusers, there's no light. And like, I can angle them, but they don't really... But if they get further away, they get less intense. I don't know. Okay, so any idea how to beat map a band that is barely in time every song? You kind of got to work with post-production or pre-production. You got to work with the band to make sure that they are playing in time. And so I would do like a rough recording, figure out what tempo they're comfortable in, and if it changes throughout the song, just put in tempo markers in there so that the click track follows, and get them to practice to that. Just keep working on it. So if you have to do it before you mix, it's going to be kind of difficult, but it's possible. Yeah, I don't think I have a quick demo, a quick way of demoing this. But basically, let's say you want this part to be like on, let's snap this to beat 5, bar 5. So it's going to start on beat 5, and I'll just put a snap marker. What do you call that? Snap offset there. Let's put it there. So you put a snap offset on that transient. Maybe there. Put it there. And then you make sure that your project is set to beats position only. And so you figure out the tempo going forward from there. So let's say, turn off the grid, make sure that this, let's say that this much time is a couple bars. I don't know. But right click and go to, where is it? Create measure from time selection. And there it's put in a tempo marker, and then I would just continue on. Let's say to here is another, so right click, set measure from time selection, and there we go. So it's started at 120, so 128 during the first part, 127, and you can just repeat that every couple bars. There is a recent video from IDDQ Sound that did a thing on tempo mapping. That's one way. There's so many different ways of doing it. That's one quick way. I think I actually covered this in a previous live stream. Okay, so Smitty asked, where should I find that list? It's probably going to go onto the newsletter today. I may have a blog post. I don't know. I need more coffee and stuff. But it's been a while since I talked to you guys outside of a video, so felt like a good time to do a stream. I've been wanting to do a stream every day, but it's like it's so hard to just start. My son's behind me just coughing. Super helpful. Not distracting at all. Blue light faces into the other camera. Yeah, I know. I know that. But it's important to get that magenta gradient. But I need to get more powerful lights. Can we remove stretch loop to fit from insert at time selection in Media Explorer? I'm hearing pitching artifacts in audio when import into project from. Can you remove it? I mean, when you import it and you use that option, like if you chose that option, you want to undo it, then you would just double click on the item and change the rate to go back to normal. Change the rate back to 1. You might want to try a different algorithm. Known issues with Reaper and M1 Max. I'm super tempted to buy an M1 Mac this week. They're going to be sold out probably if I wait any longer. But I also feel like as soon as I buy, they're going to release another new one or something like that, which will be even more worth the money. But so far so good from what I've seen. M1 Max are super powerful, and they're just, they're meant for like everyday use. They're not meant for professional production machines, but they're blowing everything else out of the water. Seems kind of crazy for like a $1,000 computer. Another thing that's kind of keeping me from buying it right away is that I have a working MacBook right here, and I have a computer I spent, I don't know, $2,000 on this year already. So I don't know. I shouldn't be buying a new computer every 8 months. All right. So comments from the What's New in 6.16 video. I thought this one was pretty interesting. Maybe I'll do a screenshot. What's the best way of getting this onto the screen for you guys? I don't know the best way of getting this onto the screen. But all right, let's do this. Okay. Can you guys see that okay? So the question is, why should I use such a dumb tool to manage my files? Other tools like LoopCloud have key and tempo detection, offer much smarter technology. Media Explorer not only looks outdated, it is also outdated, and that after a major update. That's embarrassing. A few years ago, Reaper was the most promising DAW. The last 3 years have been complete standstill compared to other DAWs. Too bad. I was the biggest fan once. I mean, okay. So my take on this, on the first part, why use the Media Explorer and Reaper compared to LoopCloud or other tools? Reaper is used by so many different types of people for so many different types of projects. So if you're only doing loop-based production, LoopCloud is a great tool. If you want that library of online sounds that you can download and audition and all that right away, it's awesome. If you're not using loops, if you're not doing loop-based music, LoopCloud is not great. It's slow to load. They change the interface every couple years. I don't know, every 8 months or something. They completely rebuild the interface. You got to learn it again. I love it. I use it myself, but I'm not going to go to LoopCloud for, managing my sound effects library. So I'm not going to use a tool like LoopCloud for putting in all the Foley stuff into a film, or, I don't know. If I'm doing music that's not loop based, I'm probably not going to use it. There's also Soundly, which is much more designed for sound effects use, like managing your sound library, doing metadata and stuff like that. But it takes a while to start up. It's a third-party program. They can change at any time. It's just nice having this really quick, pretty basic, but it does pretty much everything other than like MIDI controlled stuff. I don't know. I really love these new features to the Media Explorer. I feel like you can get by with almost just that and not have any third-party tools. But each of those tools, LoopCloud, Soundly, what are the other ones? Like, I'm blanking on it. There's some other ones. Someone will tell me in the comments. There's huge ones. Basshead. What's the other one? There's one specifically that has like effects tools and stuff like that in it. They all have different features and benefits. ADSR. Yeah, ADSR compared to LoopCloud, I think there's no chance that ADSR can catch up with them. But yeah, they all offer different features, and a lot of them are free. Like LoopCloud's free. You get a lot more out of it if you use the subscription, but it's not necessary. They all require a lot of setup. So whether you're going to stick with Reaper's Media Explorer or use LoopCloud or use Soundly, there's a lot of busy work involved to get your stuff like organized and really searchable. So you kind of just have to pick one. And I'm kind of in that position where I love LoopCloud, I love Reaper's Media Explorer. Soundly offered me a free year, but it's all like I don't have time, or I don't have the focus to commit to one of them. All right, so yeah, there was some follow-ups to that comment, but I thought that was an interesting one. Oh yeah, what else was there? Also in here. Last 3 years have been a complete standstill compared to other DAWs. What do you guys think about that? I don't agree with that. I think, yeah, I don't agree with that at all. But, I see how much the community has grown in the past 3 years. I think what the just two developers of Reaper are managing to do very quickly, you're not making people wait 6 to 8 months for bug fixes, and charging hundreds of dollars every year. So like, I don't know. I think there's so many features that people just don't even know about with Reaper. I don't know. Yeah, Reaper 6 has great features. I think Reaper 5.50 had great features, and that was worthy of paying for an upgrade, but they didn't charge us for another 2 years. David S. says, Find Reaper is updating almost too frequently. Yeah, there was a time when I too complained about that. It was updating weekly at one point. That was before I was making videos on it. Yeah, the change from 5 to 6 wasn't extraordinary. The change from 5.99 to 6 wasn't extraordinary, but the change from 5 to 6 was huge. And version 5 was out for 5 years. What is that extremely cool 3D cube art on your right? This is an acoustic diffuser. It's from Acoustics First. The Reaper FFmpeg download links don't exist. Where can I get them? Yeah, I actually put up a blog post. I lost it. This window. So if you search my site for FFmpeg for Reaper users, links are there. I actually don't know if these links work anymore either. Yeah, when I first wrote this article or first started writing this article, the version I downloaded from this site worked, but it doesn't seem to be working for people anymore. But what I would do instead is click on this archive link, which goes to the Wayback Machine, to the original website, and on here, get the, I think 4.3.1 is the last one that worked. So you want Windows 64 and shared, or you want Mac shared. And download, so yeah, there's the download button there. Anyways, the instructions are on the site. And if you already have FFmpeg installed, you don't need to constantly update it or anything like that. Like, just find one that works, and yeah, should be good. I should probably update this article. I was really hoping that someone would put up new links of FFmpeg, but I waited till mid-October, I think. No, I waited till November, and no one stepped up and and added a new build of it. So that's what we got. All right, let's go to some more comments from that video. All right, so Leandro Fascinati, you should check out his channel. He's making some really cool workflows for Reaper. He does some stuff with dynamic split and automatic camera switching. It was pretty cool. So he has a question about the ripple editing with dynamic split, but it's not working for him. And to be honest, I don't know if it will work for him, but since I didn't cover it in the video, let's talk about that now. So I've got 3 tracks here. These are drum tracks, but we're gonna use them just as a placeholder for any type of sound. So with items selected, we're gonna group them. Default action is G. And then we're going to disable grouping in the main toolbar. That's this button here. I'm going to disable grouping in the main toolbar. I'm going to select one of them and open up dynamic split. You can get that from the item processing menu, or I have a toolbar button. So we're going to set this up so that it's selecting the silence. So we've got 1, 2, 3 spots where it's silent. And then we're going to use these settings to split selected items, selected and grouped items. Don't use this first one, use the second option in here. And then split. And so that splits all of the grouped items, but we're only using one track as the analysis source. So if we didn't do it exactly like that, we would use the enable grouping, and then so all 3 items are selected. We go to dynamic split. Now we've got these other kind of weird spots here. There's 1 there, there's 2 here. So splitting at this point would add additional splits, and then especially if we're rippling, that's really bad. So you only want to analyze one file at a time, and we're going to enable ripple editing this time for all tracks and split. And now that's deleted the silence at the beginning, the silence between that section, and the silence at the end. All right, so something else that came up in the video a couple times was that ripple editing. So I've got this blue line and orange line. I talked about it in a video, but it wasn't a public video. It was in the video editing course. So what is that script? That's colored rippling. It's an extension, actually. So in Repack, take me a second to find this. So colored. So it's from LKC called Colored Rippling, and it's a extension. So it just goes into the, here's my Reaper folder. It just goes into the user plugins folder. Where is it? Reaper Code Rippling. So that's what that does. There's no settings that you can change with that. I think there is another one. There's a toggle that turns it on and off. I thought X-Ray made one. Maybe somebody else did, but I thought there was a script version and you just load that as a startup action. So anyways, blue means single track, orange means all tracks, and yeah. Now, all right, so going back to Leandro's question, how would you make that work with tracks that are different? So let's say this is different people talking, and we'll just get rid of this track for now. So let's say that these are two people talking, and we only want to remove parts that are silent at the same time. Like, you know, gaps in the conversation. We can't ripple edit this without changing the timing. So, I mean, this isn't a perfect example, but I don't know if I have any interviews here right now. So I've got the items grouped. What I'm going to do is make a folder track, and then I'm going to render this as a stem. So because we want dynamic split to only work on one file at a time, rendering this way gets us a file with everything that we hear in there. So we can take this out of the folder, delete that, and now we've got this file. It doesn't really have any silence in it, but we group it together. We make sure that we could do ripple editing on for all tracks, grouping off, dynamic split on, and I'm gonna have to mess around with these settings so we can actually get any gaps removed. So let's say that this is silent, you know, dead air in a conversation. Again, split selected and grouped items, remove silent areas, and ripple editing is on. And so that edits all tracks, and yeah, so wherever there was silence in the guide track gets applied to the actual tracks, and then we remove that guide, and now here's our original mics ready for mixing. All right, enough of that topic. All right, so many more questions came in as I was doing that. So Still have Reaper 5.99. Can't find a reason to upgrade. It's your choice. I'm using all new stuff like every day. There's always, I think there's always a reason to support the developers. So, but it's your choice. If you're happy with it, I don't think there's one feature that makes it worth it, maybe, but I think all of the features, all of the things that they put into version 5 over 5 years, makes it worth it. What's your preference for LUFS in mastering? Whatever suits the song. I don't usually go like probably past -11 LUFS. Oh, Sid. How's it going, Sid? When I record Arma channel, I can hear its input, but I need to input enable a channel for it to go to sends. When I record Arma channel, I can hear its input, but I need to input enable a channel for it to go to sends. Yeah, so there's a couple different things. Record arms it for recording, but it doesn't necessarily make it audible. In version 6, they changed the preference in track send defaults. So if you go here, monitor input was checked by default, or in new installs, that's enabled by default. So many new users of Reaper would comment on the forums and say that they can't hear themselves, so they made that a default. Anyone that was already using Reaper was like, why can I suddenly hear myself twice? Or anyone that had direct monitoring on, why are you hearing yourself twice with delay? So yeah, just be aware of that. This applies to new tracks. So there's that. But yeah, record arms it for recording, but you don't necessarily hear it. But plugins and sends are activated until you're input monitoring. So again, input monitor. If you want to arm a track, or if you want to monitor a track without recording it, there is this option: record, disable, input monitoring only. And so yeah, arm it for recording and input monitor, and then the track is live, but it won't be recorded. I think it's, yeah, instead of having, yeah, I think that covers every possibility with that, but it's definitely different than Reaper, or than Pro Tools, and even different versions of Pro Tools that's worked differently too. Auto input monitor and all that kind of stuff. Cunibert asked, why did you switch to Windows? At the time, it was the least expensive way of getting a powerful computer. For live streaming, my MacBook Pro just wasn't really cutting it. It was just like, it was so noisy, the fan would be at full. And right now, I'm streaming in 1440p on a fairly inexpensive computer, and my CPU use is 5%. It was like, my MacBook was using 75% for OBS, which doesn't leave much for Reaper. And then I'd have to do all this noise reduction to get my mic usable. So it's much better like this. But yeah, pretty sure I'm getting a Mac Mini by the end of the year. I like them both. Windows is not as bad as I feared. It's been pretty solid overall. How to use Contact Player with Reaper? I've done several videos on that. I did one just this month, actually, so I would recommend looking back at my catalog of videos. Paul Crompton says, Rather than having the mixer window floating on a second screen, can it be specifically placed as its own solid and docked window? Yeah, I don't think I have a good way of showing this, or maybe I'll have to switch to my other camera. Yeah, and I actually don't even have that on a button. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to this other camera, and then in here. All right. I can't see OBS, so I assume that you can see this. So I've got my arrange view full screen, and I've got my mixer full screen. But what this actually is it's actually docked. I just put the divider right on the seams between the windows. And this keeps the mixer to the background, so plug-in windows never go to the background. So you can do this on Windows. You can't do this on Mac, unfortunately. There. I hope you guys can see that. So using screen sets, I can set my windows to fill both screens, but instead of a floating window, it's docked, or the mixer is docked in the Docker, and I just stretch it across both screens. And you can do that if you have horizontal layout for monitors. You can do that. If you have vertical like this, works. But it doesn't work for it doesn't work on Mac, unfortunately. So Adrian says, what size monitors and what monitors? What about the monitor arm? So this is, I have a pair of Dell, I don't know the model, but they are 27-inch 1440p. So basically look kind of like the old iMac. Probably like the same screen as my old iMac from a few years ago. I really like the size. And these new monitors are actually really lightweight and thin. So the monitor arm is just a basic one you can get on Amazon. I bought it for a different monitor, but which ended up being too heavy for it. But even though this is a much larger screen, it works just fine. So again, I'll switch cameras. So it's just a really basic monitor arm. I'm super far away from the microphone, but shaky camera. I'm very sorry, but you asked a question. So this top one is on the monitor arm, which I have mounted onto the side, is going over the shelf. And then this monitor has no stand. It's just kind of leaning on the against the shelf. And there's a piece of wood screwed in just to keep it from sliding. Yeah. So this one is at a slight angle. And the monitor arm over there is just to get it the right height. I don't necessarily need it. I could put the top one on the normal stand because I do have the shelf there. But yeah, you know, I've rearranged this setup so many times now. Where are we at with questions? Can you set up more than one set of mouse modifiers? I like having an A/B so you can change them depending on what kind of project you're at. Well, there's import and export options for mouse modifiers. So there's these options here, save and load. I don't know. I can't change mine too much without it being weird. But also look into my video on normal and fast edit modes. My fast edit mode is just changing a bunch of mouse modifiers defaults. So whenever I left click on something, it runs the action. So let's do this for an example. So you'd arm an action, and when you click, it splits, and then yeah, every time I click, it splits. That's my basic fast edit mode, and then normal set things back to defaults. So you can set up different shortcuts like that, at least for left clicks. That, you know, it just runs an action every time you left click. But yeah, if you want all the drag and stuff, you got to do import and export. You could also set up a second config, you know, but it's a bit more work, I think. So many questions. Mike says, your multi-out contact video helps me get my Get Good drums set up. Thanks for easy to follow videos. Hey, thanks for watching. Do I use OBS limiting for your voiceover? Is everything set up in Reaper? I do a little bit of processing on my voice. Let's see. So this is what I'm using to record through. So I've got a bit of extra gain, tone boosters gate on here. I've got the noise reduction, the noise gate turned off, and using a little bit of limiting. But there is a bunch of post-processing when I'm actually making the videos. So isotope noise reduction. I could do almost everything, but I want kind of like a minimal recording setup, and then yeah, I don't know. It does make overdubs a little bit different sounding, but if I really cared, I would just start recording in OBS and then strip the audio or strip the video out of the audio. I got SonarWorks to correct my headphones, but my room sounds like garbage. Any cheap tips? You gotta get acoustic treatment. It's super important. This black wall behind me is acoustic treatment. These are diffusers. I've got a bunch more here. I don't have an ideal setup, but yeah, I think it's so important. It makes everything you record sound better. It makes everything you listen to sound better. And yeah, I mean, that's cheaper than buying a bunch of mics that don't work because your room sounds bad. Camera looks good. Which one? So that's an iPhone SE original back there. And this is a Panasonic G7. It's set to 4K. You're seeing 1440p, possibly. What have you done for sound treatment in the new place? How does it sound compared to old space? I'd say it sounds worse than my old place. I have I've just like a rack, like a utility rack you can get at Costco and stuff for like $40. And I strapped my diffusers to that. And then I've got some screwed into the wall, and then I've got a kind of a wall with acoustic panels there. It's not as good. These walls are like kind of thin. I don't know. I'm kind of closed off a small area of a larger living room space there's the kitchen over there, there's a dining room in front of me, there's outside, there's a balcony and stuff, and I don't know, just trying to make it work. I'm probably gonna have to rearrange everything again a couple more times before I move it out. I don't know. I'm lucky to have all this acoustic treatment stuff, but yeah, if you don't have the right shape of room, it's pretty difficult. I still need to put up a cloud. That's something that makes a big difference, I think, in the sound of your speakers, having acoustic treatment above you as well. New to Reaper, everything is cool, but the faders are skippy or laggy. Sometimes you run into that with the tooltips option. So have a look at, where is it? This one. Try setting your tooltip delay really long and disabling tooltip for UI elements. For me, that made a difference with the faders. I notice it mostly with Mac. Yeah, so actually this is, you can't see it. Of course you can't see it. So you can see that this is choppy. It's because the tooltip is there. It's smooth without a tooltip. I don't know why. It changes like the refresh rate or something when that's on. So I would suggest you turn that off. I still keep tooltips for some things, like items are going to have tooltips. But yeah, I mean, I'm used to Reaper now, so I know what everything does. I don't really need the tooltips that much. Oh yeah, and it still shows the value in this bar here. So when I grab this, I can look at that and see that the volume is changing. Oh, good. It works for you. Cool. Why diffusers and not absorption? No real reason. Oops, keep pressing the wrong buttons. I like the sound of diffusion, and I have them. I find it, if you have a small room and you have just 100% absorption, it just sounds dead. I don't like recording in a space like that. You can hear that on like hand claps and tambourines and stuff. Acoustic guitars, it just like sucks the life out of them. But diffusion controls the sound without actually making it sound dull. And so, yeah, if you have them, definitely use them. Do you think OMF and AMF or AAF implementation could be possible in the near future? No, I don't think so. I haven't seen them make any efforts towards that in like the 10 years that I've been using Reaper. Like if AA translator didn't exist, then maybe, but it does exist and it does work really well. So they don't need to. So it's kind of like, you know, that exists because Reaper didn't do it, but Reaper doesn't need to do it because that works. So I think it's good to have a dedicated developer for something like that. Every DAW has trouble with translating OMF and AAF. Yeah, and Vordio too. If you're using, if you're going from Premiere or Resolve, Vordio is a good tool for that. But again, it's still not perfect. There's, you know, those companies don't document their stuff well. They don't implement their stuff well. And so it's always trial and error. Let's see. Let's go to some more things. All right, I'm going to grab another comment from the video. All right, so RT Hinkle says, awesome update. Really wish they'd implement back and forward hotkey navigation through folders. Appreciate the forward and backward buttons at the top of the Media Explorer, but most mice have dedicated back and forward buttons that the Windows Explorer and Mac OS Finder use for navigation. So, it's a good comment. So he was mentioning these buttons here at the top. You can actually assign buttons to those. So if I want to go back, you just open up the action list, make sure it says Media Explorer at the top, and then we're gonna search for go to. And so we've got go to next, go to, so these are folders, these are shortcuts, parent folder, previous folder in history, previous shortcut. So I have some of these already set up. So I've got forward and back. I have an old video on this. On customizing the Media Explorer shortcuts. I think all of that is still relevant. So like, you know, using the arrow keys makes sense. I made it pretty much like the Mac shortcuts, I think. So I use enter or return to go into a folder, down arrows, up arrows, that all works. And then, yeah, so that goes in and I can see things. It keeps playing. Oh yeah, that's me. I've got my right arrow on play. So yeah. But yeah, all of that stuff is in there now, so you can easily customize that. I had a question about the docking shortcut. Well, it was kind of a complaint that I didn't show the details of that. So in the video, I said I just used the docking shortcut. What that action is actually view show docker. And the action that I have that assigned to is Alt D. So view show docker. Can you see that? I also didn't show how I actually got the, what do you call it? The toolbar into here. So I'm going to set it to floating, and it's right here. So, so let's assume this is the starting point. Go to position toolbar. We go to in toolbar Docker. That puts it here, which is obviously not a good spot for it. But we're going to drag it. You might have to hold down Control to get that blue line. That puts it there, and then we just resize this until it fits there. And then if we open up the mixer, we don't want the mixer there. So again, we kind of have to, I don't know, we kind of have to fool around with this to get it in the right spot. Got to move it around until we get a handle, and then we'll probably just put that into the same tab as the Media Explorer and just adjust that. So the mixer's there, Media Explorer is in the same tab, and then the toolbar's there. And then you want to save your, with everything docked, and then you hide the dock, and then you save your screen set. So, and go to screen set 2, screen set 3, screen set 1. If I open the dock, all that stuff is there. Media Explorer is visible. And that toolbar is there. Go to screen set 3. I've got my mixer, and I've got my mixer toolbar there. So, yeah, a bit of trial and error. And sometimes you have to hold down Control to move dock positions to exactly where you want them. How long have we been going now? Oh, over an hour. Cool. How to use external hardware in Reaper? Is there any ways that I can manage multiple outputs for it? I mean, sends and returns. Yeah, you can. I've done a few videos on it. I don't use it a lot myself. I tend to just kind of set something up for that particular reamping job or mixing job, like running through pedals or something like that. And I don't keep any of that stuff set up permanently, or templated so that it's in use in every session. But there are lots of people that do that. But I will show you a couple videos. All right, so this post on the site, integrating external hardware effects, reinsert, beat sync, and remote control. So this is how to use reinsert, how to send MIDI to hardware effects, how to sync external delay effects, how sending MIDI clock, adding remote control of hardware through the MIDI re-control MIDI plugin, add plugin parameters to track controls, how to rename parameters, how to route audio to hardware through a digital connection. So all of that applies with, just repeat the process for multiple effects. So I think I set up, I show how to get it in sync, how to send your tempo to a digital delay, things like that. So there's lots you can do with that. This should cover most of it, and definitely the more advanced stuff. I would consider most of this stuff, like sending MIDI to the hardware, is more of an advanced thing. But if you just have like a compressor or something like that, you pretty much just stop at this section after reinsert. Yeah, and when you're setting the delay on it, just make sure the effect is bypassed, so it's not it's not changing the signal that you're using to sync to ping, and yeah, should be pretty accurate. You should be able to do, like, if you have a compressor, you should be able to do parallel compression on the master without any phase issues. But I haven't checked if it's broken, honestly. They fixed some things in version 5, between version 4 and 5, and yeah, there was one point when Justin's like, I don't think we can ever achieve like 0 latency or whatever, perfect sync. And then like the next day he's like, okay, we did it. And yeah, I checked on my gear and it was working perfectly. All right. Back to comments. I can't find it right now, but there was a question about the favorites list. Oh, here it is. So this question, I don't understand the favorites option. Why didn't they implement a basic rating system with 5 stars? I love the sound equals 5. This one sucks equals 0. So let's look at how you would do that inside of Reaper's Media Explorer, because that's been there for a year. All right, what screen are we on? If I do this, okay, I think everyone can see that. So let's take, I don't know, let's go to just my Loop Cloud folder, and now let's go to the database. So we've got the favorites column. We can double click to favorite anything, right? I showed that in the video. It just puts a little dot. And that gives us a way of grouping favorites at top. So if we sort by size, my favorites are still pinned to the top. Yeah, there's that. But we can also rate them using the custom tags section. So custom tags are a Reaper only metadata. So if you want to use a number system, it's pretty easy. Just type in a number, press enter. 2, you can press down arrow to go to the next one. Right, and then if you want to sort them, just hit the column again, and now they're sorted by ranking. And if you, I did notice a kind of a weird thing. If you edit this and just delete it, it just puts in a dash there. And so how do you fix that? Right click and you do reread metadata from media files. And it'll say some things have been overridden, discard metadata, and yes. So that will get rid of that dash there. So yeah, if you want to do custom ranking, I think the custom tags is a good way of doing that. Is there a way to take the effects from a project template and import it into those effects on a new project for drums? Change the setup. I don't want to remix the drums from scratch. Yeah, so SWS snapshots is usually how you would approach that. As far as I know, there's no way to like merge two templates or anything together. You could, yeah, SWS snapshots is a good way to do it. So you just open up the mix that sounds good, select the tracks, save that as a snapshot, go to the next project, and then import that snapshot. I have a video on that, at least one video on that already done. It's, yeah, not really a quick thing I can explain right now. I think we're going to wrap it up soon, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, we got over 40 people watching right now. Thank you so much. Yeah, stay tuned for a blog post on Black Friday stuff. Mixing courses will be on sale. I wasn't going to do it, but someone asked me if I was going to, or someone told me that they were waiting for a coupon code, so I may as well. If people want to buy it at a discount, I may as well do that. I've in the last few years, I've been doing Black Friday things anyways. I just didn't really feel like it. But if people are asking, I'll do it. And yeah, other than that, that's it. I'm not sure if I'll have another video this week. Maybe Monday. I'm not sure what else is going on, but Black Friday post is coming up later today. Newsletter will go out with that details, and you guys can save a bunch of money on my favorite plugins and things like that, and support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.